April 19th, 1775. The American Revolution begins, with the first shot fired at the Battle of Lexington. After years of excessive taxation, no representation in Parliament, and heavy-handed rule, the colonials had had enough and put up a tough fight. 273 British troops were killed. 3 times the number of colonial casualties, even though the colonials were greatly outnumbered. This was the shot heard round the world.
George!
2 months later, at the Battle of Bunker Hill, the British were able to push the colonials back from the Charlestown Peninsula. The colonials numbered 1,500 and were again greatly outnumbered by 2,400 British troops. The American casualties were numbered around 450, while the British lost 1,150, nearly half of their entire force. The battle was at the time considered to be an American defeat, but has since been lifted to the ranks of heroic stands against forces of oppression due to the many British troops killed. Over a year later, at the Battle of Long Island, the colonials suffered a terrible defeat. The British drove the Americans from Brooklyn and forced them to evacuate New York. The British had twice the troops the Americans had and inflicted about 2,000 American casualties. Brooklyn and the loss of New York was the worst period of the war for Washington and the American cause of independence. Morale in parts of the Continental Army collapsed and whole companies deserted. On October 17th, 1777, the tables turned and the Americans inflicted 3,500 British casualties at the Battle of Saratoga. The Americans forced the surrender of Burgoyne's army. The consequences of Burgoyne's surrender were catastrophic for Britain. France and Spain declared war on Britain, and the American effort was galvanized. In 1781, at the final battle of the American Revolution, General George Washington's army defeated Lord Cornwallis's British army at Yorktown, causing the British to surrender and ending the American Revolutionary War. This led to the peace treaty that acknowledged the independence of the American states. For the British establishment and people, the American Revolutionary War was a humiliating disgrace to be forgotten as quickly as possible. The redcoats who fought hard for 6 years to maintain the British crown returned home to find themselves largely ignored. Within 10 years, the American Congress would add a Bill of Rights to the Constitution to guarantee individual rights and protect the freedoms of generations to come.
Wait, they're arching. He's arching. Everybody clap.